Viewers, in another 20 days, the entire national capital will cast its vote to choose the next government of Delhi. But the liquor gate scam is back to haunt the Aam Aadmi Party, very close to an election where the party is seeking a third term, having won the last two assembly polls with full majority. Viewers, it was nearly 4 months ago that Aam Aadmi Party Supremo Arvind Kejriwal stepped down as the Chief Minister. And as he seeks re-election and reinstatement of the anti-corruption crusader tag, it seems the challenges ahead of him are galore. The 2,000 crore liquor scam has come to haunt him once again. The Ministry of Home Affairs has given a green signal to the Enforcement Directorate to prosecute Arvind Kejriwal. Claiming political vendetta, the Aam Aadmi Party has questioned the timing of the move. But what is it really underneath this war of words? Is it politics or is it simple due process of law being followed? To answer that, let's run you through the very premises based on which the Ministry of Home Affairs granted sanction to the Enforcement Directorate to prosecute the AAP Supremo. Let's take you through what we know so far. The first big premise, the move comes months after the Supreme Court in the order on 6th of November 2024 said that the ED also has to take prior sanction like the CBI to prosecute under the criminal procedure and money laundering cases. Furthermore, the framing of charges against Kejriwal in the excise policy case was pending in the absence of the sanction. The nod will now pave the way for changes to be framed against the accused in the case, including Arvind Kejriwal. Moreover, the Delhi Lieutenant Governor, Mr. VK Saxena, had also last month given his nod to the agency to prosecute Arvind Kejriwal much before the MHA nod. The CBI, remember, got the sanction for the same in August 2024 in a parallel corruption case related to the same excise policy scam. So from kingpin of the scam charge to the kickbacks allegation, Kejriwal is facing grave and scathing charges according to the charge sheet submitted by the Enforcement Directorate. Let's run you through some of those key takeaways of what we've been able to find out through the course of us going through the charges. Kejriwal is the kingpin and the key conspirator, the main conspirator of the scam. That's the big charge leveled by the Enforcement Directorate. Furthermore, Aam Aadmi Party leader Vijay Nair acted on behalf of both Manish Sisodia and Arvind Kejriwal. Kejriwal was also in touch with one of the main accused, Sameer Mahendru. That's another allegation that's been leveled by the Enforcement Directorate. And furthermore, the ED also of the opinion that Arvind Kejriwal asked the accused, Sameer Mahendru in this case, to work with co-accused Vijay Nair over a video call conversation. Kejriwal was also part of the plain coordinated conspiracy by AAP Neta Vijay Nair in the South group. Remember, the South lobby has also played a key role as per the allegations that have been investigated by the Aam Aadmi Party. Speaking of the South group, Kejriwal, the ED says, orchestrated a deal with Arvind Kejriwal and Manish Sisodia, both the AAP leaders. And in exchange of kickbacks, Kejriwal had access to policy formulation details and process. All of this finds a mention in the charges that have been framed by the Enforcement Directorate. Furthermore, ED says this is part of a conspiracy, and the part of the conspiracy also included giving wholesale profit of 12% to certain private firms. And the conspiracy led to stream of illegal funds in form of kickbacks and wholesalers for the Aam Aadmi Party, and that the Aam Aadmi Party even routed 45 crore of the 100 crore kickback for Goa campaign. 45 crore was used to fund elections in Goa. And in the wake of these charges, what really lies ahead for Kejriwal is something that is being looked at very eagerly, especially by the Aam Aadmi Party. So let's get you all those details. Kejriwal will face prosecution soon, as the trial is still at the stage where documents are being scrutinized. How soon? We'll take that up through the course of the debate. But ED can now frame charges against Arvind Kejriwal. The process, however, will begin only after the document screening process is complete. And the Delhi High Court, remember, will also begin hearing then on the legality of the charge sheet against Arvind Kejriwal and Manish Sisodia. So as ED gets ready to prosecute Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party questions the timing of the move, is this limited to politics, we ask, or is this actually about investigations around the liquor gate and just that? And what will be the repercussions of this legal action, this legal move on the mega Delhi battle? We'll decode all of that in just a bit. First up, the reactions so far.
इनकलाब वंदे वो उस तरह से चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं, हम इस तरह से चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं।
हाईकोर्ट ने भी कहा कि आपने जो सीएजी की रिपोर्ट छुपाई है और कहा आम आदमी पार्टी और केजरीवाल से कि इसमें आपकी बेईमानी दिखती है।
बड़ा दुख की बात है, शर्म की बात है कि एक आदमी जिसको दिल्ली के लोगों ने 3 बार जिताया, वो अपना शीश महल बनाने में लग गया, मगर उसने दिल्ली के लोगों को दवाई नहीं दी और हजारों लोग मर गए दिल्ली में।
Let's quickly open this up with our experts joining us this evening. Tom Vadakkan, National Spokesperson of the BJP, along with Neeraj Mishra, Spokesperson of the Congress. We're also being joined by Ashwini Dubey, Advocate, Supreme Court. But my first question is to Preeti Sharma Menon, so Spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. Gentlemen, and Preeti, thank you so much for taking out your time. Preeti, my first question to you is that now that the MHA has given a nod to the Enforcement Directorate to prosecute Arvind Kejriwal, what lies ahead is important. But I also want to ask you this. Through the course, of the legal battle that was being fought by the Aam Aadmi Party for Arvind Kejriwal's lawyers thoroughly maintained that a CBI, a CBI sanction does not automatically mean that the Enforcement Directorate can also go ahead with its own trial. Now that the MHA has given a nod to the ED to prosecute, what will you say? Because this is exactly what was being contended by the Aam Aadmi Party.
Absolutely. The ED was going ahead with a supposed trial and arrests, and they put our leaders in jail without any permission to actually prosecute. And thankfully for us and for the country, the Supreme Court stood by us and said the ED under the PMLA law, like any other law under the criminal system of India, has to get permission to prosecute. So this is what the ED should have done 2 years ago, and they have done it now. This does not really change the way things were or that they are going to be. The people of Delhi are very clear that Arvind Kejriwal is the only one who cares about their welfare, and he is the only one who is going to ensure that their lives are better. And Aam Aadmi Party is winning this election. Now the BJP, in its desperation in order to ensure that they have something, they don't have any work to show, their MPs have not worked over here, the central government has been involved in actual demolitions all across Delhi, the central government police has been completely neglectful of the deterioration in law and order. So BJP, having abysmally failed in the areas which they look after Delhi, they don't have any issues to talk about. So they have to keep creating headlines. So this is an headline, permission to prosecute. This permission should have already been there 2 years ago. It is a late permission, but it doesn't change anything on the ground. The people of Delhi are voting for Arvind Kejriwal. They are voting for the Aam Aadmi Party because they know that the Aam Aadmi Party government is a welfare government. They run a welfare state which benefits each and every individual in this city.
Okay, it's a headline tactic by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Mr. Vadakkan, how do you respond? Why is all of this happening so close to the election when there's nothing new really apart from the fact that the MHA has given a nod? All the charges that were levelled stand the same. The Enforcement Directorate maintains what it did, at the very onset of when it filed the charges it did. What really has changed? This is nothing but you upping the game against the Aam Aadmi Party going into elections.
Well, Christine, if you examine the background of this case and what has been in the courtroom, essentially, they asked for it. They said permissions were not taken and that you need to have clearance for a public servant to be prosecuted. Now, when you ask for something, the government will follow the rules of the law. And you have the LG clearance, then the Home Ministry took its time with due diligence to be done. They examined the case thoroughly and they've come to a conclusion, well, this is a case which is fit enough for clearance, and they did. So you started it. When you went to court and you said these are the weaknesses in the case, now you're getting it back, and what are you weeping about? So essentially, this is all about
beyond weeping,
your own creation. And it has not happened in your time frame. Is something totally different, because we do not monitor Supreme Court or MHA. They take their decision in their own time. They took time because they did due diligence and it took time. So, I mean, what are they crying
that's
about?
a fair point, Mr. Vadakkan. But the question that is also being asked by the Aam Aadmi Party is the timing. Why less than 20 days before elections?
No.
The Supreme Court made those observations in November last year. So it's been at least 4 months since.
So don't they believe in the institution of Supreme Court, which took time to take a decision? The MHA did not run and say, well, you put him in jail. They took their time to understand the whole issue, to get to the bottom of it and examine it. And then due responsibility, they did what they did. And if it happens to be election time, every third month there's election in India, or fourth month. So every time there is some court verdict, you say, well, it's affecting the elections. It's unfortunate indeed.
Aam
This is
Aadmi
not a
Party,
court
I think for the AAP, apart from Punjab, the elections in Delhi, I think, are the most crucial, and we do know what lies in store for the AAP, what's at stake for the AAP going into this election. But Mr. Vadakkan, I'll come back to you with that follow-up. Ashwini Dubey, before I let Preeti respond to what Mr. Vadakkan said, tell us, what do you make of Preeti's first comment? Why not seek sanction to prosecute Arvind Kejriwal right at the beginning of the ED probe? Why even wait for the Supreme Court to come in? Is it mandated to follow that procedure under PMLA for an agency like the Enforcement Directorate? Please tell our viewers.
Earlier it was not. On November 6, 2024, Honorable Supreme Court, in a different matter, ruled that the sanction for prosecution, even in a PMLA, is a mandatory requirement, which is a mandatory requirement in other agencies like CBI and police. In the Criminal Procedure Court, now it is BNSS. Under Section 197, there is a provision which says that the sanction for prosecution to prosecute any public servant is necessary in any criminal matter. Since PMLA is a specialist statute, and in PMLA there was no specific provision specifying the fact that the sanction for the prosecution from the competent authority.
So are you telling me, to simplify this for our viewers who are trying to understand the nitty-gritty around this, up until the Supreme Court made that observation, or it was found as part of the Supreme Court verdict, the Enforcement Directorate was not incumbent to follow this process,
Yes,
is what
it
you're
was
saying?
not obligated. It was not obligated to take the sanction for the prosecution. That only arose after the Supreme Court judgment, and that is why there is a post application for getting sanction of prosecution when the charge sheet was already filed. Look, there are 3-4 days which needs to be looked into. In September 2024, charge sheet was already submitted before the court. That was prior to the judgment. And on that basis, the charge sheet was challenged before Honorable High Court that there is no sanction for the prosecution. And that is why the post application was made to the competent authority, who is a Lieutenant Governor, and then subsequently to the MHA, that sanction for prosecution should be accorded, and which has been accorded herein. And there is no ambiguity or irregularity which says that it cannot be, can be given at any point of time. Supreme Court has ruled in various judgments in the cases of CBI and other criminal matters.
Okay, so it wasn't incumbent upon the Enforcement Directorate to take that route, but since the Supreme Court made that observation upon the appeal made by Arvind Kejriwal's legal counsel,
Not upon the in Supreme Court there was a different matter, which altogether
was then cited by the Aam Aadmi Party.
Yes, but that ruling was cited in High Court, saying that my case is also similar footing because sanction for prosecution is not there. Therefore, charge sheet is non-est and illegal in the eyes of the law.
Okay,
and that is why the sanction.
Okay, wonderful, Mr. Dubey. That really clears the air for all of us, I think, this evening. And Preeti, I'm sure, will have to add on to this really to, make her point, because that's the first big argument she put forth in front of all of us. But Neeraj, how do you view this? I mean, right now, I'm assuming the Congress party is so very glad of not going into a pre-poll alliance with the Aam Aadmi Party.
No, Christine. People of Delhi know this, that this Liquorgate expose was made by then DPCC President Anil Chaudhary, and on that complaint only, everything saw the light of the day, because it was a duet between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party when this policy was brought. I'll tell you, we are missing certain pieces of this puzzle. If you remember, when the complaint was made, there was one more portion which was made public, that there was a deviation from the master plan of 2030, and when that deviation happened, the then mayor was from the BJP, and most of the corporators in Delhi were from BJP. DDA then gave the nod to deviate and open liquor stores in residential areas. Then DDA also has the onus that why they allowed this deviation. And BJP is equally answerable for these deviations also. But today, because earlier there was a procedural fallacy that during that election, because those sources and those evidences were not there in the public because investigation had not happened. We had told that there's a procedural fallacy. That is why we are standing with Arvind Kejriwal.
No, but
but
Mr.
because
Neeraj,
we were the first complainants,
my simple cross question to that is that if you were so very aware of the manner in which all was not well around this policy, and the Congress, Mr. Chaudhary of the Congress was the first to expose the Aam Aadmi Party, so to speak, why is it that you fought the elections with the Aam Aadmi Party in Lok Sabha?
Christine, Lok Sabha's elections larger idea was to save the constitution. That onslaught which has been going on, I can give you multiple examples, but I don't think we have that much time.
How are any
also
of those money laundering allegations constitutional in nature? How does it not go against the constitution?
Christine, the procedural fallacy which I have been talking about has been happening throughout the country. Either you see when Hemant Soren was picked up, Arvind Kejriwal was picked up, Rahul Gandhi was asked to come, he was summoned by the CBI and the ED. So all these things which were happening without any evidence, without any complaint, these things were happening. But today,
so
in the
without
day of
evidence,
life,
without
when we have all
complaint,
the
happening in
evidences,
Jharkhand, happening elsewhere, but not happening in the national capital. In the national capital, it was the Congress that exposed the Aam Aadmi Party.
At that point, we had given all the complaints that this is happening. The agency was supposed to investigate, but in order to collect the evidence, what they did that procedural flaw, which was basically what Mr. Dubey was saying, that PMLA 2017, the amendment which they had brought, it had given a lot of power to the agencies that they could prosecute anybody without any permission. And when that Supreme Court judgment came, when it said that they have to take this order and they have to take permissions, now that the procedure is being followed, we cannot say that this is now a procedural fallacy or a witch hunt against Aam Aadmi Party is happening, because now the agency is actually going by the norms which are prescribed under the constitution.
Okay, I really like how you put that, Mr. Neeraj, and to Congress's advantage, to be fair to you. But Preeti, how would you respond to that? The fact of the matter here is, Preeti, that given that we're so close to Delhi elections, had the Aam Aadmi Party, and we're all talking in the realm of speculation this evening, had the Aam Aadmi Party emerged victorious, if Arvind Kejriwal was to be the next Chief Minister of the national capital, Aam Aadmi Party would have a strong point to make in seeking, or reversing the bail conditions around Kejriwal's involvement in this particular case, and that's not happening, it seems, anymore. So it is a setback to the Aam Aadmi Party.
No, I don't. I think all that is a matter of speculation. Coming back to what I said, it still holds. The principle of justice says that they had to take permission before. ED was taking just a loophole. They were taking advantage of a loophole by going ahead and prosecuting opposition leaders without permission. And we can, thank the Aam Aadmi Party that because of us, a lot of reform has come in. ED is now forced to take permission before going after elected representatives. Not only that, bail is now become a matter of natural justice given even to people who are, PMLA law has been used as a draconian force to put opposition leaders in jail.
The missing prosecution sanction was cited by the Aam Aadmi Party, Preeti. The limited point I'm making is that this missing prosecution was cited by the Aam Aadmi Party. Now that the MHA has given its nod and the Enforcement Directorate is simply taking the process forward, why are you going after the BJP, calling it ill-timed? That's my pointed small question.
We are not going after the BJP at all. In fact, that is where I wanted to come in. The gentleman is saying we are beeping. Do I look like I'm beeping? I'm smiling because you know what has happened today? I'll show you what has happened today. Parvesh Verma has been caught on video distributing shoes to people. He's been caught on video. An FIR has been lodged against him. Since the beginning of this election, we are saying that BJP is distributing money, they're distributing freebies, they're distributing bed sheets, they're distributing saris. Here he is distributing shoes. And finally an FIR has been lodged against it. This is real criminal behavior. This is an absolute violation of the Model Code of Conduct. This is a violation of our democracy. BJP has been involved in voter manipulation, they've been involved in distributing freebies. Here, Aam Aadmi Party is the only one who is standing and fighting a fair and free method of, fighting an election. The BJP is violating everything. So these are the violations that are worrying people. People are not worried about the so-called liquor scam, and I'm glad that the Congress admitted that they are in cahoots with the BJP, in trying to make this spurious scam stick on the Aam Aadmi Party, but it did not stick. The people of this state love Arvind Kejriwal. They know that if anybody, if the Congress or the BJP, and they've seen them in power in the past, they've done nothing for the poor people. They've done nothing for the last man, ever. So they've never done anything for the last man. Just yesterday, BJP was demolishing, poor people's homes in Ghaziabad. So I think that it is absolutely clear to the people of the state that Arvind Kejriwal is coming back. It is clear to the BJP, and that's why these desperate attempts.
I already see where this is
trying
headed.
to link some.
Preeti, I already see where your arguments are headed in terms of a retaliation, because the BJP is going to say that the Election Commission so far has not admitted that as proof enough against the Bharatiya Janata Party, that they've in fact put things on record, placed everything on record, and you're going to say the Election Commission is acting in a biased manner. So I already know where this is headed. But before I go across to Mr. Dubey,
they've lodged an FIR against Parvesh Verma. They have lodged an FIR, the Election Commission. We are grateful to them that they have taken the first step and lodged an FIR against Parvesh Verma, and the BJP should be acting against him, because their candidate in the New Delhi constituency, there's been an FIR lodged against him for distribution of freebies to people in order to win their votes. So I think that this is out there, open and clear, that the BJP is not fighting a fair election. That is the issue today. The issue is not this liquor gate which the Congress and the BJP have created in their air conditioned
so I'll quickly let Mr. Vadakkal respond.
For the
Mr.
people of
Vadakkal,
Delhi.
please respond.
Well, it's very interesting that they've caught Mr. Parvesh distributing shoes from all. He's earlier said that he's been giving shoes to his NGO, whatever it is. If an FIR is filed, let the police investigate and find. After all, what is an FIR? FIR is just investigating the fact of whether an incident has happened or not. So if an incident has happened, the law and the Election Commission is there. They will take cognizance. Don't you worry about that. But I want to draw your attention, Christine.
No, I will be worried about that.
I read in the papers today across the board about this hoax calls to schools, a very, very strange operation.
Very
indeed.
good point.
And it is very suggestive of the art style of technology, using kids to make hoax calls mentored by their parents and what have you. I'm wondering whether the air flight hoax calls were also part of that package.
Mr. Vadakkal, just to be fair here, the Delhi police has also not named anyone from the Aam Aadmi Party.
I'm glad you brought it up.
So we're yet to hear from
Can I please rebut on this? I would like to reply to this.
One second, Preeti, let him complete. I'll come to you. Let him complete. He didn't interrupt you, please.
Yes.
Delhi police will name him because the pointers are very clear, the needle of suspicion is very clear. Who is the interest party? And educational institutions are their forte, as they say. They have damaged the education system of Delhi. They don't pay college lecturers their salaries for 6 months. Schools don't get salaries. And doctors don't get salaries in the hospitals. They talk about all their agenda and what have you and the social work they're doing. These are all talks that they give during elections. And that's more and nothing else. They don't deliver anything across to the common man. They talk about the common man in the last ladder. What ladder are they? They pull off the ladder.
Now ladies and gentlemen, I think we're digressing a little bit, but just because it's election season and everything is fair in elections,
I respond to that?
I'll let Preeti quickly respond, and then I have a very important question to take from Mr. Dubey. So Preeti, please, as short as possible. Go ahead.
Yes, please. On 1st May, a Delhi school received a hoax call. 1st May. It's been nearly 10 months. And now, not the police commissioner, but a BJP spokesperson comes and makes some fantastic allegations that some child somewhere, some juvenile, is associated with some parents, his parents are associated with some NGO, that NGO is associated with some people, this is headline management of the BJP. I'll tell you what all hoax calls have been there. There have been hoax calls in Tamil Nadu schools, there have been hoax in the last 6 months, okay?
No, but
there have
going
been
by
hoax
that
calls in Gujarat,
the logic that you'd given earlier, they'd also say that the manner in which these repeated hoax calls are being made could be part of a larger conspiracy going into elections, because law and order is a state subject, but here it falls under the central government.
No, I am saying That's what I'm trying to say. The central government has been sleeping on these hoax calls or actual calls. There have been calls made on single days threatening 90 planes. 60 planes, 18 planes. I have the data with me, I can share it with you. There have been calls made to the Mahakal temple. There have been calls made to the ISKCON temple in Tirupati. There have been calls made to the Prem Mandir in Vrindavan.
Okay, I think all your points both Preeti and Mr. Vadakar have been duly conveyed to the viewers, and this is really not the debate that we're taking forward today. So Mr. Dubey, to quickly come back to what we were discussing a little while earlier, what does this mean for the Aam Aadmi Party going forward? In simple terms, given that the hearing in the PMLA court takes place on the 30th, followed by how we will see the Enforcement Directorate frame charges, so on and so forth, how does the story proceed going forward, and what does this mean for Arvind Kejriwal? Because he's in contention directly for the CM chair.
See, if Honorable High Court comes to the conclusion, whereas challenge has been made to the charge sheet that there is no sanction for prosecution pursuant to the judgment, then of course the case is over. But if High Court says no, they have been granted permission, and Supreme Court judgment came later on, and that pursuant thereto, they have the Enforcement Directorate has applied it, and therefore the sanction for prosecution is right in true letter and spirit. Then the case will proceed for trial before the learned special court, or the Arvind Kejriwal, either party, if loses or wins.
And how soon can that happen? How soon can the trial commence, and what bearing will it have on the future of Arvind Kejriwal if the Aam Aadmi Party were to win the elections?
Trial, it cannot be before 8th February. In any case, it will take time, and there the conditions still will hold till the time. See, one thing is very clear, that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal cannot, unless the Supreme Court modify, review or amend its order, he cannot go to the Chief Minister's place. He cannot take oath as a Chief Minister.
Yes.
The bail condition are not against the Chief Minister. Bail condition are against Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. So law is very much clear on this aspect. So unless and until those conditions are varied, amended or modified, he cannot take oath as a Chief Minister. This is one. Point number two, so
That's
far
not
as
true.
what
That
would
is
be
not true. I'm sorry.
No,
but
it is. That's
not true.
exactly, Preeti, why he had to step down
That's
as
not
the Chief
correct.
Minister in the first place,
No.
because there were certain conditions
No,
that had
no,
to be followed.
no,
But that's all the time I have, Preeti.
There
Unfortunately,
is
I can't
only
take
one
this
main
forward.
condition.
Okay, 15 seconds, quickly, yes.
There is only one condition, that he cannot sign files which will go, he can sign only those files which will then be approved by the LG. All the files that the Chief Minister signs go to the LG.
He's not
So
going to
that
be
is
able to
the
go to the
only condition
Secretariat,
that
so
is
on
there.
and
There
so
is
forth,
no
which bars
condition
him
that
from
says
carrying
that-
out his official responsibilities,
There is
and so
no-
he should rightfully step down, because
No,
then you're
nothing
denying the
bars him
people of
from carrying out his
Delhi what they
responsibility,
truly
and
deserve.
nothing bars him from taking oath as the Chief Minister. There is no bail condition
Okay.
that says that he cannot take oath
Okay,
as
so
the
we'll
Chief
tweak
Minister.
that a little bit, Mr.
That is not
Dubey.
true. That
For
is
now,
not correct.
we'll settle on tweaking that a little bit. Preeti, thank you for joining us this evening. Gentlemen, that's all the time we have.